Alright, hey guys, so I want to talk to you about the total solar eclipse of this year, specifically on the 12th of August. And this is a rather significant eclipse, and I'll show you why. So, first of all, I'm sure we all know, but for those who don't, a total solar eclipse is like where the moon is fully blocking the sun's disk from like our perspective on Earth. And you can see the diagram down here. It's just like a diagram of how a solar eclipse works. Basically, the moon is just casting shadows on the Earth, and there's penumbral and umbra. So umbra is like the proper full-on shadow. The penumbra is like the partially shadow. So anyone in the penumbra is having a partial solar eclipse, whilst people in the umbra, which is a very like smaller size of the shadow, is experiencing totality, or an annular eclipse, which leaves a ring of sunlight, or a hybrid, which is a mix of both, depending on where you are. So this eclipse in August later this year, where can people see the totality? And basically, it's in Russia. However, this is like a completely remote part of Russia. Like we can see, it's only this bit, and it's hard to access. I don't think there's any towns or any form of civilization there. And then you got Greenland again, same situation. It's mainly glaciers and everything. You can't really get there. So your best bets are Iceland and Spain, and even a tiny little northwest part of Portugal. I'm gonna explain more about the locations in a second. I'm gonna switch to the next one. So despite the covering the totality of the bit, there's a lot of places where they can see the eclipse regardless, but it's more so partial. So that includes places like Canada, the USA, UK. I think the UK is getting around 90% of the sun covered. Parts of west, part of North Africa, most of Europe, a little bit of Russia, northwest, and yeah, just mostly along the north. And then this is a timeline of the total eclipses. So if you're in Russia, somehow it's more in the morning. Iceland and a little bit like North Spain, it's more in the afternoon. But if you're like further south of Spain, like in the Balearic Islands, it's more a sunset kind of eclipse. And that's quite special, especially in the Mediterranean. And this is also the amount of people that can see the eclipse. So for totality, around 15 million people can see this. And then, so let me explain the locations. Your best bet, Iceland, which I'll explain why I don't actually recommend it, and Spain, which is why I wholeheartedly recommend going there. So Iceland is one of the first place that's getting a totality where actually you can go to. So like for example, you can go to Reykjavik to see the eclipse because that's right on the totality, or even just anywhere along the western part of Iceland. The thing is though, first of all, I guess except for Reykjavik, a lot of places are kind of remote, and so if you're trying to especially go on the coast, it's going to be hard to access. I'm sure roads will be full on with traffic and everything. And the biggest problem, despite it being in August, is cloud cover. And this is like the average cloud amount for August from past years of recording. And you can see your chances of seeing the eclipse is quite low. You may never know. There could be a stroke of luck where there's a complete clear sky or a little bit of clouds on the day. But average wise, you're just not going to get a good chance, and I don't recommend it because if you just say you planned a whole trip to Iceland to see the eclipse and then it's cloudy, it's going to be a massive disappointment. So the next location is Spain, and I definitely recommend this place because not only is it very accessible, especially within Europe, but anywhere across the world, but also the cloud cover is a lot more hopeful looking, especially along like the central north bit of Spain. So mostly like here, or especially the Balearic Islands, where you get probably the lowest chance of cloud cover anywhere along the totality line. If you're in North Spain, Well, I mean, you could get clear skies, but at the same time, you could get a chance of clouds. So I'll be cautious about that and definitely keep track of the weather forecast. But definitely along the central part of Spain and into the Balearic Islands is your best bet. And acknowledging the Balearic Islands, that's where totality will meet near sunset. And this is a photo taken by Daniel in in Argentina. I was trying to say whatever that place is there. So yeah, in Argentina, I believe that's during sunset, and that was in 2010. And it might not look exactly like this, but this is kind of like what you could expect if you were in the Balearic Islands seeing a totality, because it's so low on the sun is so low in the horizon. And because of this, because it's meeting that thick atmosphere, you might not get a chance to see much more detail of the eclipse, unlike if it was overhead. But at the same time, the views are going to be especially striking, and especially with the clear, like the high chance of clear skies, and it's over the ocean, especially if you're along the western coast of any island, it's going to make some stunning photographs. Now, I know probably a lot of you know this already, but just a heads up, absolutely do not look at the sun without any form of equipment or filter or anything. Do not look at the sun with your unaided eyes. Do not point your cameras at the sun without any form of protection, because you could really damage the sensor and it's gonna be an expensive repair. So make sure you get a solar filter if you're photographing it, and solar glasses or filter glasses, I can't remember what they're called. So in that way, you can safely view the sun. When it's totality, when it's 100% covered, you can take the glasses off and the filters to see the corona and everything. But when even a sliver of sunlight comes back in, get them things back on, because the sun is not friendly to our eyes. And when the totality hits for Spain, Iceland, if it's clear, this is what you can expect to see. You can see some features around the sun, like the corona, the diamond ring effect, Bailey's beads, which is like little slivers of sunlight. And you can also see bright planets like Venus and Jupiter, and maybe some bright stars like Vega and Arcturus. And because this eclipse is falling around the Perseid meteor shower, if you're extremely lucky, you could even get a shooting star during the eclipse, during the totality. So, to conclude this presentation, obviously, 12th of August, mark your calendars if you're planning to see this year, obviously. That's when there's a total solar eclipse, is especially significant for Europe. And I definitely recommend Spain, especially the central part of Spain or the Balearic Islands. Obviously, be very safe when you're looking at the eclipse, because the sun is just harsh to our eyes. And if you're very lucky, you could see a Perseid meteor during the eclipse. So, yeah, safe travels and clear skies if you're going to see this. And also, I'm going to explain more about the 2027 August total solar eclipse I don't know when, but sometime this year, because that is also very significant, especially for North Africa and the Middle East. So, there you go.